I want to thank you for the opportunity to have this discussion regarding oil and gas and our industry within Kern County. A brief introduction. Who am I? I worked in Kern County oil fields beginning in 1981 until 1991 for the big oil firms. I was trained by those firms. I have done every hard, hot, back-breaking job in this man's oil field other than roughnecking during the course of those 10 years. Since then, in 1991, I've worked as a contractor in the crane and trucking industry, still working side by side with anybody and everybody working in our industry. I have never, up to this day, worked with a more diverse group of individuals than I am now. Men and women, Latinos, African Americans, Asians, LGBTQ, working shoulder to shoulder all day, every day, second chancers, just trying to make a good living, producing a critical component of everyday quality of life, something we've got to have in the most stringent environment, doing it safer and more environmentally responsible than anybody else on the planet. I've been doing this for 40 years now. I have served on the Taft City Council since 2004. I'm on my 5th term representing the people of the city of Taft. I've been on the Finance Committee for those entire 17 years thus far. I lived in Bakersfield. I moved from Bakersfield. I moved there in 1981, and in 1991 moved to the city of Taft and have lived there ever since, where I raised my family and have my business. Why am I here? Kern County is fighting for its very survival. It is no secret that all of the policies, or most of the policies coming out of Sacramento right now, are anti-Kern County, anti-oil and gas, anti-agriculture, anti-water. We will survive. We will win and survive, all of us or none of us. We have got to do this together. The former mayor of Arvin and the current mayor of Delano, along with organizations and individuals from outside our county, are repeating a narrative that oil and gas production disproportionately negatively affects the quality of life of people of color and the poor. I disagree with this narrative. I think it's false and misleading, and I am here to offer a different perspective regarding this. Within Kern County, our people are exposed to oil and gas production at differing levels throughout the valley, whether you're in Delano or you're in Arvin or Taft or Bakersfield, wherever it is. I produced these slides off of the CalGEM website Well Finder feature in order to show where these wells are in relation to these particular communities, not all, but these particular communities. In Delano, this well is an idle well. I have, for the purposes of today's demonstration, shown idle wells, current producing wells, and new wells. This is a map of the city of Arvin showing their oil and gas wells. Once again, the idled wells, current producers, and new wells. They have more of an oil and gas presence in the city of Arvin, 7 or 8 wells within their city limits, as well as surrounding areas, some idle wells and some producing wells. This is a map using the same scale of the city of Taft. And although it looks like the vast majority of those wells are idled, the purple ones, they actually layer on top of the current producing wells, the green ones, which there are hundreds, if not thousands of wells surrounding the community, the city of Taft, as well as Kern County around the city of Taft. So oil and gas benefits. Everybody in Kern County, everybody in the state of California, everybody in the United States, day in and day out, every single day, counts on the benefits we receive from oil and gas and petrochemicals. Our civilization is founded in it, and we count on it, and we need it, and we simply cannot do without it the way we live today. It's not just for personal transportation, which is only about 30 or 35% of all the oil we consume within our state. We heat our homes with natural gas. We plant and harvest, grow, and cook our food with natural gas and oil and gas. We fuel our aircraft. The state of California, prior to the pandemic, burned through about 52% of all the jet fuel consumed in the United States of America, 52%. We make our clothes, our makeup, our eyeglasses, single-use sterile medical supplies. Without oil and gas and petrochemicals, a hospital would be a hollow block building with a door in the front for sick or injured people, and unfortunately a door out the back for those that did not survive. We have got to have those tools for emergency medical personnel to save lives. Oil and gas benefits. The Kern County Planning and Natural Resources Department did a study and sent a letter signed by the Lorelei Oviatt to the Board of Supervisors. And this was a oil and gas property tax revenue analysis on the county's city schools and special districts for 2018-2019. Oil and gas properties contributed during that year $80 million for county funds, $103 million for school districts, $12 million for special districts, $197 million in total. The current budget calls for the top 10 secured property taxpayers to pay some $204 million. If you remove oil and gas from that top 10, that $204 million turns into $42 million, a reduction of 80%, which would have cataclysmic effects on the budget of Kern County. Commercial scale solar cannot replace the money lost if we were to close down the oil and gas industry. It would also require over 66 new e-commerce facilities, think of Amazon if you will, in the same fiscal year to replace the economical benefits of our industry. The myth that we can replace oil, gas, and petrochemicals with solar and wind, let's talk about our experience with that in the state of California. In 1991, California only imported about 5.4% of all the oil we used from foreign sources. We produced over half of it right here in California and got the rest of it from the state of Alaska. In 2018, foreign imports are up to 57.5%. Currently, they're higher than that, approaching 65%. During that period of time, from 1991 to 2018, oil use in the state of California went from 683 million barrels in a year down to 642 million barrels, a reduction of only 6%. The following slides show the reduction of production within California and Alaska and the comparable increase in the amount of oil that we import from foreign sources: Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Colombia, Ecuador, countries that do not share our views of human rights and the values of that, as well as our economical responsibility views. These are the tankers that bring oil to our shores and unload them. For every 2 million barrels that we unload currently, we put 120 million California dollars into that boat to be shipped off to those foreign lands, where they will do Californians no good. They won't support our schools or our infrastructure or emergency response. None of those benefits. All that money goes overseas. Let's talk about the green efforts that we have undergone in the state of California during that same time period. The state has installed over 1 million solar roofs. We've registered over 700,000 hybrid and plug-in EVs, added 12,000 megawatts of solar energy, about 6,000 megawatts of wind energy. During that same time period, the average fuel economy for vehicles sold in the United States of America went up 25% to stretch every mile we could out of a gallon of gas. During that 30 years of transition, Californians have only reduced their oil usage in our refineries by 6%. We will be counting on the benefits of oil and gas and petrochemicals for many decades to come. So who benefits from the green efforts? Oil and gas production disproportionately negatively affects quality of life of people of color and the poor. Well, here again, I disagree with that view. Commercial scale solar receives tax rebates and deductions. The negative effect to the budget of Kern County over the past 5 years for those tax deductions was $103 million that could have been put to work for the people of Kern County. Electric vehicle sales benefit from tax incentives as well. The average household income for Tesla buyers, I believe through 2018, was about $140,000 per year, not what one considers to be poor or below the economical average, and yet they enjoy the benefit. On top of that, the way we fund roads, the way we install them, build them, and maintain them is to pay state and federal road taxes. Well, if you have an electric vehicle in the state of California, then you don't purchase gas and you don't purchase diesel, so you don't have to pay your way for state and federal road taxes. You get a free pass. The same is true for sales tax paid on gas and diesel in the state of California, which funds municipal government at the city, county, and state level. That's the way we pay for fire departments and police departments, public safety, emergency responders, parks and rec, schools, all of the above. It goes into the general funds. Here again, if you're one of those financially fortunate that can take advantage of the tax benefits that you get for buying a new battery-powered vehicle, you also get a free pass on state, federal road taxes as well as sales taxes. State rules and regulations and taxes on the industry have an impact on what it costs the consumer. In the state of California, gas and diesel costs about 33% than it does in our neighboring states, and even more than that when compared to the national average. And oil and gas are a critical component of everyday life when it comes to transportation for so many. Utilities in the state of California are some of the highest in the United States. Just next door in Arizona, utility rates for electricity go for between 9 and 11 cents a kilowatt. Here in Taft, California, they start at 25 cents a kilowatt and go up from there at 31 cents and beyond. 3 times as much as it does right next door. Part of the reason that that cost is there is because we have integrated intermittent sources of energy into our grid, and we have to pay for those. On top of that, you have to be able to pay for the backup sources. In spite of all of this, the state of California still imports more energy than any other state in the United States. Kern County embarked on an environmental impact review project, amending their zoning ordinance related to existing permitting regulations for new and existing wells. This was back in 2013. The industry as a whole partnered with Kern County, as well as, since Kern County is a lead agency, some 25 other responsible agencies to come up with a blueprint to responsibly address the need to drill and produce oil and gas within Kern County. And it was passed, and it had an overwhelming positive effect when it came to mitigating air pollution and other things within Kern County. The ER, in the time period that it was active, collected some $163 million from producers to be able to apply towards mitigation efforts. Then it was challenged in court. 5 different categories had to be updated and improved, and they were, and it was readopted in 2021. It was reviewed and adopted by the Planning Commission and reviewed and adopted by the Board of Supervisors, both unanimously. It was opposed by numerous organizations as well as individuals from well outside our valley, well outside our county and our state. So why was it that we got a unanimous yes vote from all the people that live here and breathe this air and drink this water and count on all the government provided services? Well, that is why. It is easy to live outside of our state and outside of our area and to tell us what we can reasonably do without actually being a part of it. We know how responsibly we can produce oil and gas. We know what the economic value is to our community and our government, and we know the best for our community. In summary, the integration of intermittent energy sources to displace legacy energy sources costs money, and they have a dramatic effect increasing energy costs for utilities, gasoline, and diesel fuel, as well as the cost of anything that moves up and down the road, consumables. These costs are borne by people who have discretionary income that is somewhat limited, but they have to pay these things. Tax benefits provided to commercial scale solar negatively affect Kern County's financial health. Like I talked about, the $103 million that we missed out just in the last 5 years would have a huge positive effect on the county, but it's gone. We weren't able to collect that. Electric vehicle programs disproportionately benefit the financially fortunate. It is those that cannot take advantage of EV programs that carry the weight of state and federal road taxes, as well as the sales taxes on gas and diesel to fund local government. The drastic reduction or elimination of the financial benefits of the oil and gas industry within Kern County to its government and its people would be overwhelmingly negative, almost insurmountable. When taken as a whole, these facts would support the recognition that, in point of fact, it's the rapid adoption of climate change regulations and policies that are having a negative effect on the quality of life of people of color and the poor. It has been my pleasure to address you this evening. I appreciate people taking a moment to consider the perspective that I offer and the information that I have brought forth. It's incumbent upon all of us to think about where we're going as a country and as a people. Our future rests in the responsible and proper integration of all sources of energy and all new sciences, but not to the detriment of our ability to finance and provide quality of life for everybody. Thank you for your consideration.